What do you think about this whole chaos of GameStop and Wall Street Bets, and then today we found out about the market trying to shut the traders down? Is this a digital form of anarchy?
I don't know if it's anarchy per se, but it's certainly anytime people's pompous posturing and their BS. I've been following it closely because I know once I sit down and follow this story through from everyone who's been forwarding to me, like my pants are going to be ruined because it's going to be downright pornographic. Like everyone's like, you don't understand. This is what you've been predicting and calling for. So I need to sit down where I have nice pants.
You wanted a separate ball and
sheath underwear. Yeah, because this is everyone's like, this is exactly what you like. Whenever pomposity and pretension, which is a form of deceit, is undermined, especially in a populist way or just in a clever way, this is something I absolutely adore. I don't think this is all exclusive to anarchism per se, but it's wonderful. And what else is very useful is I think we're a lot closer to Brave New World than 1984. It's a lot easier to manipulate a population through pleasure than through force and through oppression. If you just give them a little bit of cheese and you give them a job, it's going to be very hard to get them to be riled up, and you could just milk them all day long. So if you're going to win a war, as I intend to, or I hope to, it's of enormous utility when they take the gloves off and they have to demonstrate that underneath they're perfectly happy to use brute force or whatever, just be unsophisticated, like, okay, we're just going to shut it down. And then it becomes a lot easier to demonstrate that these people don't give a damn about you. They're out looking for their own best interests, which is their prerogative. But this pretense, this corporate BS that we're all in this together and blah, 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 it's just complete sociopathy and nonsense. And a lot of people will never appreciate this, and that's fine, but you don't want them on your team anyway. A lot of people who can be won over, they're going to see things like this, and they're going to be like, okay, like, I'm starting to get it. Like, this is just a complete facade.
I'm trying to work out what the particular quirk is with my makeup. I think it is partly being British and enjoying the procedure. I'm also moderately orderly. Like, I'm an orderly guy. My bedroom tends to be tidy, and I put things away in rows in the cupboard and stuff like that. And for me, I enjoy watching people like Alex Jones. I enjoy learning about alternative worldviews, and I enjoy questioning, or at least indulging myself in thought experiments around what is the state's ulterior motives and stuff like that. But it does feel usually a little bit like watching a pantomime. You're like, yeah, like that looks good, but I know that the guys will go backstage and take their clothes off and it'll all just be normal, like the way that I know the world to be once it's kind of all finished. But increasingly, there are things happening, and this is such a stark example. You see the market move, which is quantifiable, which makes it really interesting because you can actually see what's happening. It's not just a sentiment, right? It's not just how people feel. It's quantifiable metrics there in front of you. And you see this market move, and then these different structures of power start to come in. So Robinhood decide that they're going to stop trading, and then other platforms say that they're going to stop trading. And then there's questions about circuit breakers being put into the market so that they can stop the price moving at all. You're seeing 50% of Robinhood clients hold some GameStop stock. So by stopping that trading, not allowing anyone else to buy, you're just sending the price in one direction. And then the most interesting thing about it all is that when you have a distributed network of people who have far too much time on their hands and are smarter than they are kind of moronic, like they all call themselves like a proud community of autists, but you don't want to fuck with those people. They know they're not going to forget anything. They know they know what they're talking about. They just can't look you in the eye whilst they say it.
I had a chapter about this in my last book about Gamergate, because part of the evangelical left is the idea that these political principles have to be implemented in every aspect of your life, including sci-fi and fantasy and movies. So even places you go to escape the earth, these edicts have to be followed through. One of the examples I used, which, you want to talk about autism, I got it right here, was on Star Trek. They finally that's the word they used, had a black Vulcan. And if you want to go full autistic, the idea that human races evolved in parallel on other planets is absolutely deranged. But right, if you're gonna look at it from that perspective, from their perspective, no, you have to have diversity, even though if it makes no sense. There was a video game that took place in the Middle Ages of Europe, and they were complaining there wasn't enough diversity there as well. So it becomes completely, very top down and nonsensical. So this, when the corporate journalists came for this community, like you were saying, this is an entire population with too much time in their hands, who also spend their time trying to figure out how the enemy, in this case in the video games, the enemy works, and what weapons do I need to do to conquer this enemy. They don't look at it so it becomes a game to them. It's like, okay, let's do A/B testing, let's try different tactics, and it's decentralized. So you have an army of these people. It's like Al-Qaeda, right? You can't kill the one guy and everything falls away. They're used to this. They've been training for it their entire lives. Right? They have. This is
our moment.
Right. But no, I mean, literally they're spending hours trying to accomplish these goals that have been set for them with adversaries in the way. So it's a beautiful, one of the things you and I talk about, personally, is kind of this whole generation who they are getting more attention, but they're kind of being told that they don't exist, of these kind of alienated young males. Right. So in some cases, it goes in a very, very bad direction. You kind of have this white nationalism, this sense of, oh, your life is bad because there's too many minorities. And now this racial identity means you can look at what your grandfather supposedly did. Now you're a great person. But this is another example. You could be at your desktop, what they call them, like workstation, and you can cause systemic carnage against some really nasty people and have lulls at the same time. Isn't that great? So I am a big fan of I don't know about the specifics of this case, to be honest, but I'm a big fan of this ethos.
It is, I think the first time that you heard about it was me telling you, perhaps, or maybe Trey, our mutual buddy, is also a big WallStreetBets follower. But I spoke about it last year. I'd seen some mad shit that they'd done last year. These guys, what is it they call, like 4chan found a Bloomberg terminal, they call themselves. And it really is, man. They're your people. They're your people. That could be the party of Malice. There's 3.5 million of them in that subreddit now.
It's a wonderful thing. And that's what else is hilarious. They're like, well, we'll just shut down this subreddit. As if somehow on the internet there's any shortage of places to create communities. When you have 3.5 million people, let's propose 1% of them are programmers. Like, how hard is it going to be where all they're interested in doing is being able to text each other? They're not trying to build spaceships. They just need a space to exchange information where there's a worldwide infrastructure designed to facilitate this, as you said earlier. It's glorious.
Did you see that Ja Rule got involved today?
I did. I'm not really sure who he is. For racist reasons, I'm assuming he's a rapper.
He is. Well, yeah. He was. His trend was filed under hip hop. I mean, that's fairly racist by Twitter. It had nothing to do with hip hop. Like, he's an entrepreneur. He's a budding entrepreneur. He's part of Fire Festival. Yeah, someone.
Oh, okay.
Someone posted the Dave Chappelle bit, going like, why the fuck do I care about what Ja Rule thinks at this moment? It's from one of his old stand-ups. And it was just an entire thread of people posting that below.
I think that's also this great thing, blue-pilled, red-pilled. It's like you're sitting at home and you have some people have political perspectives of one kind or another, but then it's like, why am I getting political orders from actors who are puppets made out of meat? Like, it makes no sense on any level. And it's such an insincere propaganda technique that I think people increasingly, and I'm doing what I can, start to resent it. It would make more sense if someone was a writer of these sitcoms, because writers have to create a narrative. Writers have to be coherent and logical. Writers, to some extent, have to be in touch with the reality. An actor, you don't really you have no original thoughts. Or the thoughts you do have aren't part of your job.
Yeah.